Today's Kirsten Powers wrote on July 29th this year, Iraq's Christians are begging the world for help. Is anyone listening? Since capturing the country's second largest city of Mosul in early June, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS, has ordered Christians to convert to Islam, pay jizya taxes levied on non-Muslims, or die. Human rights lawyer Nina Shields described the horror at Mosul. ISIS, she said, took the Christians' houses, took the cars they were driving to leave, took all their money. When a woman had a life savings of $400,000, she said, "Can I please just have $100? And they said no. They took wedding rings off fingers, chopping off fingers if they couldn't get the ring off. We now have 5,000 destitute homeless people with no future," she has said. This is a crime against humanity. For the first time, Kirsten goes on to say, for the first time in 2,000 years, Mosul is devoid of Christians. This is ancient Nineveh we are talking about. They took down all the crosses, they blew up the tomb of the prophet Jonah. An Orthodox cathedral has been turned into a mosque. They were uprooting every vestige of Christianity. In what may be one of the most shocking photos passed around social media, a 7-year-old Australian boy is seen holding up a decapitated head in Syria. "That's my boy," reads the caption reportedly posted by Khalid Sharif, convicted terrorist who fled Australia to join the Islamic State militants waging war in Syria and Iraq. Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott condemned the image. Los Angeles. Peering through his camera at Robin Williams in 2012, the cinematographer John Bailey thought he glimpsed something not previously evident in the comedian's work. They were shooting the independent film The Angriest Man in Brooklyn, and Mr. Williams was playing a New York lawyer who, facing death, goes on a rant against the injustice and banality of life. His performance, Mr. Bailey said Tuesday, was a window into the Swiftian darkness of Robin's heart. The actor, like his character, was raging against the storm. And that defiance, as you know, gave way among the personal demons that had long tormented Mr. Williams with his suicide at age 63. Mr. Williams forever shut the window on a complicated soul that was rarely visible through the cracks of an astonishing intact career. Giving his well-publicized resume filled with depression, addiction, alcoholism, and a significant heart surgery in 2009, Williams should have had a resume filled with gaps. A Florida court has heard how a man accused of killing his roommate didn't know where to hide the body, so he asked Siri. Pedro Bravo 20 told Apple's digital assistant, "I need to hide my roommate," after allegedly kidnapping and strangling Christian Aguilar in 2012. According to evidence recovered from Bravo's iPhone, Siri responded to his request. "What kind of place are you looking for?" it asked. "Swamps, reservoirs, boundaries, dumps." I didn't bring my phone up here. You don't know what Siri is like, and I would have her speak for you. Our human heart, that curious, paradoxical, maniacal, loving place within us, what can we say about it? What can we not say about it? It is the stuff of nightly news. It is the stuff of TV shows, movies, and novels. It is the stuff of scientific study. It is the stuff of our lives which brought us here this very morning. Carson McCullers titled her debut novel, "The Heart is a Lonely Hunter." The novel explores the spiritual isolation of misfits and outcasts in a small town of the South. Near South, as you may know, is from Columbus, Georgia. And I suspect one of the reasons her novel attracted so much attention was because there's a bit of the misfit and outcast in all of us. You know what I mean. The unexpected death of Robin Williams, successful and talented beyond measure, drives home that there's a misfit in all of us. And sadly for some, that is more than he or she can live with. And so reflecting on you and me, we may have squeezed ourselves into some kind of Sunday outfit this morning. It used to be Sunday best, but that term's gone. And I'm not talking about the size of our stomachs. I'm talking about putting on a face on that obstreperous or unruly heart of ours that at times can have its own mind. And then on occasions of clarity, we may have looked back and asked ourselves, what was going on with me? Why did I do that? And sometimes those times become regrets. Oh, how I wish I had never said or done that. And so it pays for us to try to understand our hearts, what makes them happy, what makes them sad or afraid, what makes them angry, and yes, what makes them loving and forgiving. In other words, what makes them tick. The heart can be a dangerous animal, indeed a lonely hunter, hunting for satisfaction, hunting to get even, hunting to get what it wants, no matter the cost or whom it might harm. And so the horror stories coming out of rapid, closer to home, the story of a man asking Siri where to hide a body, are acute, poignant cases of our hunting hearts. They chill us with the realization of what human beings and what we are capable of. And we cannot disavow our hearts and blame it on something or someone else. I saw a cartoon the other day, maybe in the Spring Morning News, with a pistol, smoke rising from his barrel, yet no one was holding it, and a silhouetted human form lay dead on the ground, and the caption below read as if chastising a dog, bad gun. Obviously, the gun had not fired itself. In Matthew's Gospel this morning, Jesus goes right to the heart of the matter. But what comes out of the mouth proceeds from the heart, and this is what defiles. For out of the heart come evil intentions, murder, adultery, fornication, theft, false witness, and slander. And you know, his words must have stopped his listeners dead in their tracks. They had thought that the outfit into which they had squeezed themselves earlier that day, washing of their hands in particular, a ritual then, had concealed the truth of what was in their hearts. Jesus had forced them to take a conscious inventory of their own shortcomings, of what lay festering in their hearts, polluting and corrupting their lives, their relationships, as well as their own sense of well-being. Was there a future Robin Williams among them slowly collapsing under self-hatred? Was there a future terrorist among them waiting to start a bloodbath? Was there a future murderer soon to be looking for a place to hide the body? Jesus' finger of accusation was pointing in all directions. We might then remember this episode from John's Gospel. Teacher, this woman has been caught in adultery in the very act. Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such a woman. What then do you say? They asked. But Jesus stooped down and with his finger wrote on the ground. But when they persisted in asking him, he straightened up and said to them, He who is without sin among you, let him be the first to throw a stone at her. And when they had heard it, they began to go out one by one, beginning with the older ones. I've always thought it was interesting, the older ones, because if you're older, you know what's in your heart. So the cat was out the bag of the heart, so to speak. They all left because they all knew they were not without sin. Chicago Cubs broadcaster Harry Correa was quipped about the dispute between players and owners during the 1994 professional baseball strike. He said, I don't know who's right, but they're both wrong. So when it comes to matters of the heart, self-management is important, but not always possible. We do get angry. Our hearts do wander. There's stress and the need for relief. We become overworked, needing rest and sleep. Nothing may awaken the beast of our hearts more than that lack of rest. Right, parents and small children? This puts a little different spin on the fourth commandment. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. The commandment is also for our self-protection, acknowledging our serious need for rest, lest we become weakened and break the other 9 commandments. Recall that the fruit of the Spirit includes self-control. The old Roman Catholic term for self-control is continence. The opposite incontinence, wherein an individual soils him or herself, but in this context, the soiling comes from the foulness within one's heart. But just as a broken leg cannot be stood upon the wall, neither can a broken heart, whether from trauma or abuse, be stood upon the wall with the grace and love of which it is capable. What is broken hurts, and what hurts places us in distress. Our hearts may be infested with bitterness, the need for revenge, despair, anxiety, and yes, depression. And what is depression? Self-hatred, anger against oneself. And what is suicide with that self-hatred rising to the level of murder? Self-murder. And so we may have missed a parallel in this morning's gospel. At the beginning of the reading, Jesus tells us that it's what proceeds from the heart that defiles. And then in verse 21, the message seems to change. Just then, as we heard, just then a Canaanite woman started shouting, "Have mercy on me, Lord, son of David, my daughter is tormented by a demon." And as we heard, Jesus seemed to resist even the girl, but then he relented. By his word, the demon left the girl. Now, we're not told what demon afflicted the woman's daughter, but I get the sense the daughter might have been of teen years. We don't need to be reminded that the teen years can be very difficult. Hormones and a new social environment elicit all kinds of feelings, some not healthy. You see, it was no mistake that the movie The Exorcist was about a young teen girl. It was actually based on the true story of a teenage boy. All that aside, there's a parallel between the two situations of what defiles the heart and the demon-possessed girl. Both situations are defilement. Both come from within the individual. Evil intentions as well as evil demons may inhabit the human heart. Bad things keep coming up out of people in this morning's gospel. It poses a question. What is coming out of you and me? There are thoughts and feelings within us which we would rather not share or have exposed. Even thinking about them may make us blush with shame. It's not easy being human. Again, we may find ourselves thinking of Robert Williams, the Islamic terrorist from a man who consulted Syria about where to hide the body. They had done what they did as a result of what was in their hearts. Sometimes, though, we may just want to give up on making that heart of ours with its cauldron of feelings and thoughts cooperate. It may just be easier to say, well, that's just the way I am. Or to go a step even further and declare, well, I would not be having these feelings if God had not made me this way. That thought, however, gets us to a very scary place, doesn't it? How much liberty should we give our anger, our fear, our sexuality, or our depression? Are we willing to say that God made me to be depressed and therefore made me to kill myself? I don't think so. Indeed, the sixth commandment comes to mind. You shall not commit murder. And suicide is self-murder. There would be no need for the Ten Commandments, you see, if it were not in our very nature, the way we were born, to violate the very things the commandments prohibit. Lying, stealing, murder, and the rest. That's profound. Hang on to that. Where then is our hope in dealing with our unruly and dangerous hearts? The answer, of course, is in Jesus. And I know the answer may sound simplistic, if not childish. Can Jesus really be the answer for the turmoil that arises in our hearts? I'll tell you, if he is not the answer, I would suggest that Christian faith isn't worth it all. It may have made you wonder that Jesus was reluctant to heal the demon-tormented girl. Why would he not? Isn't Jesus supposed to love everyone? He told the desperate Canaanite woman she was not a Jew, the Canaanite mother of the girl. It is not fair to take the children's, that is the Jews' food, and throw it to the dogs, in other words, the Canaanites. Is Jesus showing prejudice and exclusivity? It is easy to look at it that way, except if you've ever been in a position of giving something to someone, knowing that it's going to be wasted, then prejudice has nothing to do with it. And those of us with children may have experienced this, and painfully so. The experience may have taught you that a gift to one of your children will be wasted. is holy to dogs, and do not throw your pearls before swine, or they will trample them underfoot and turn and maul you. He is advising us not to give to those who are not appreciative to give or waste it. We might then ask, why would healing the Canaanite girl tormented by a demon spirit be a waste? Listen to what Jesus says in Matthew 12. When the unclean spirit has gone out of a person, it wanders through waterless regions looking for a resting place, but finds none. And then it says, I will return to my house from which I came. When it comes, it finds it empty, swept, and put in order. Then it goes and brings along 7 other spirits more evil than itself, and they enter and live there. And the last state of the person is worse than the first. The Canaanite mother was a Gentile. She worshipped pagan gods, demons, and so did her daughter, we might credibly assume. For Jesus to heal the daughter would only make matters worse for the girl, as we heard him teach in Matthew 12, unless she would become a practicing Christian. Now, I know some of you may not believe in demons, but you do believe and know that if you want to lose weight, it will not happen merely because you said you want to lose it. That would be ridiculous. You have to actually diet, and you have to actually exercise. Being healed by Jesus is no different. Jesus can heal our hearts of all manner of evils, depression, anxiety, anger, thoughts of suicide, murder, as well as demonic possession. We simply need to go to him and ask and ask and ask that he heal us. In other words, we have to stay close to him. And staying close to Jesus is like the discipline it takes to lose weight, limiting what we eat and exercising. You see, Jesus wants to do more for us than merely heal us. He wants to make us whole. He wants us to grow in the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And not be victimized by the evil intentions of our unruly and destructive hearts. Fruit, apples or oranges or whatever you may want to throw in the mix. Fruit takes time to grow, and so too does the fruit of the Spirit take time to grow. Translated, that means we must strive to stay close to Jesus through prayer. You know that it's the reading of Scripture, worship, Christian fellowship, and ministry to others. Then we will increasingly come to experience that beautiful fruit of the Spirit: peace, love, joy, and all the rest. Experience that within ourselves. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.